Hey guys, this is HardwareNL, and this is our first video, and we're going to be showing you how to do some pretty basic things. We're going to be showing you how to install a stick of RAM, graphics card, and a processor. So some safety here before we start. You never want to touch the processor by the pins because the oil's on your finger, and the same goes for the socket, can damage it. So this is pretty easy. You can see here that on the socket there is a little retention arm. Before we start, you know, just take this retention arm and hook it and bring it up. Just bring it up this far, don't bring it back any farther because these can break pretty easy. And then you want to take the processor, and you can see here that there's a little golden triangle on the bottom right corner. And on the bottom right corner of the socket there is also a golden triangle. Well, not a golden triangle, but a triangle. So what we want to do is we want to just match up the two triangles and insert it into the socket. So we've got our two triangles lined up. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put the CPU in its socket. You just drop it right into the holes there. And then once you've known that all the pins have dropped into their holes, and you can just give it a wiggle, and then you can know that the processor's in. So then you take the retention arm and put it down, and it will snap into place. And then you can give the processor a tug, and you can tell that it's installed. So the next thing that we'll be installing is this stick of RAM. Installing RAM is kind of the same thing as a processor. You can see that there's a little notch in the middle of the stick, and there is also a notch in the DIMM slot. So what you're going to want to do is pull back the two latches on the sides of the DIMM slot, and then take the notch in the stick and line it up with the notch in the slot, like this. So now you can see that it is in the slot. Alright, the next step for this RAM slot, RAM stick, is you want to take the two sides of the stick and take your two hands and press down firmly on both sides. It can be a bit scary, but you're not going to break anything. So just press down, and eventually the two latches will lock into place. Like that. The last thing we'll be installing, well, the second last thing, because we need to install a heatsink on this processor, is our graphics card, and this is very easy. So we're just going to get some cables out of the way so we can do this easy. This is your PCI Express slot. So what you're going to want to do is take the graphics card and line up the notch in the PCI Express slot with the connector on the card. The same with this little locking mechanism over here. So take the card, and I will show you how to insert this in the next cut. Okay, so we can see that on the right side of our slot there's a smaller portion, and then there's a larger portion, and then there's this little thing over here for the locking mechanism. And we can see that on the card. So now we have this lined up. So now we can just drop the card right into place, the same that we've been doing, and you want to line up the back I/O with the back of the computer also. One second, I'm going to cut, and then when we come back I will have the processor inserted into the slot. Okay, so now we can see that I have the graphics card lined up on the back. I have it in the slot, but I don't have it quite pressed down. So the same as the RAM, you're going to want to take the graphics card and press down firmly until you hear it lock into place. And now we can see, if we look at the connector, that all the pins are gone into the slot. Okay, now you guys are probably going to have a more modern case where this is a lot easier, where it's just a screw that you screw in to this side of the card. But for this silly OEM case that we're using here from HP, we have this kind of weird mechanism here that kind of just slides into some slots on the top like that, and then it just gets screwed into place. So in our next cut, I'll have that screwed in. Okay, so now I've got this screwed into place, and we can see here that this card is not going anywhere. So some cards are going to require some additional power from the power supply, as you can see from this connector right here on the side. So what you're going to want to do is locate the your PCI Express power on your power supply. So that's a 6-pin one, and then you're going to want to plug it into the power header. 1 second. This can be a bit tricky. There you go, and then just snaps it into place, just like that. So that's that. And now the last and final thing that we're going to install is the heatsink for our power supply. Okay, so we're using a dusty old Cooler Master reference cooler that came with the processor. So this is really simple. You're just going to want to orient the cooler the way so that the wire is closest to the fan header on your motherboard. And you're going to see that there's some latches here. A latch like on one side and a latch on the other side. And you can see here that on our socket there's a latch on this side and there's a latch on this side. So this can be really tricky, guys, trying to latch these both in at the same time. But I will show you how to do that. So you can see here that we have this lever on the heatsink. The first thing that you should do is actually pull this lever back and get it all the way back so there's some slack on the hooks, so it's a lot easier to hook in. Okay guys, so I got the heatsink placed in on the processor here now. I'm pretty sure that I've got it latched on this side, and it's kind of hard to see whether or not I've got it latched on this side, but I'm hoping that I'm not making a fool of myself here. So now the next thing that we're going to want to do is just make sure that the heatsink is pressed down, and take this lever and pull back up. It's going to take some force, but don't be afraid. Pull down. Alright, and now we can see, and we'll give the heatsink a tug, and it's not coming up. So now we're going to take this fan header here, and we can see if I can find the header. 1 minute. Here we go. Here we go. We can see here on the fan header, down here, there's some notches here on the fan header, and there's also a notch right here. So we're just going to take that and match it up and push it down. 1 minute. Here we go. And that's plugged in. And we're also going to need some power to our processor, so we can take that and bring it over right here now. Same as when we plugged in the graphics card, only it's only 4 pins. Take that and push it down. You'll hear it snap into place. And now we've installed our heatsink, our graphics card, our stick of RAM, and we've plugged everything in, and we are ready to boot. Okay guys, so now we've got power plugged into the power supply, we've got DVI plugged into the graphics card. Let's hit the power button and see if it boots. Looks pretty good. So that was our first video on how to install a processor, stick of RAM, and a graphics card. Please tell us in the comments how we done, if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you in the next video.